On the day the real heiress returned, I didn't make a fuss or cause a scene, obediently following my biological parents back home. They called me a thief who stole someone else's life, but later I learned that even thieves can have parents who love them. When the real heiress came back, I quickly packed my belongings, leaving behind all the jewelry and only taking a few simple changes of clothes. They always said I was a thief who stole someone else's life, so in the end, I chose to take nothing with me. When I was little, I never understood why no matter how hard I tried, Mom and Dad wouldn't give me an extra glance. Now I finally know. To be fair, the James family didn't exactly abuse me. They even provided excellent material conditions, the best food and clothes, top-tier schools, and the most outstanding tutors. They simply ignored my existence, as if I were invisible in this household. Back then, I didn't understand. I thought I must have done something wrong, that if I just tried a little harder, Mom and Dad might spare me a few more glances. So I studied hard and became the top student in the school, yet they remained silent. When the path of effort led nowhere, I strayed for a while during my teenage years, dyeing my hair, smoking, hanging out in internet cafes, even ending up in a police station after a fight. Still, they never came. It was only later that I realized they simply ignored me, no matter what I did. They couldn't spare even a glance in my direction. When I finally learned I wasn't my parents' biological daughter, I even felt a sense of relief. So that's why, because I wasn't their own, that's how they treated me. It turns out it wasn't my problem after all. The real heiress is Sarah Miller, a slightly plump girl with two adorable dimples when she smiles, radiating vibrant energy. Seeing the tearful parents of the James family, she confidently stepped forward and embraced them. Mom, Dad. In contrast, I timidly gazed at my biological parents, who seemed somewhat unfamiliar to me. Their clothes weren't name brands, but it was clear they had been carefully put together. I had never experienced such a scene before, so I stood there awkwardly, unsure of what to do. A middle-aged woman with big, wavy hair and bright red lipstick stepped forward and firmly grasped my hand, looking me up and down before turning to the square-faced man beside her and saying, "That's our girl, so beautiful." I was abruptly pulled by a pair of rough, warm hands, so warm it made my heart tremble. Over there, the James parents were taking Sarah Miller to see her room. From what I could remember, the largest and finest room in the house had always been empty, and now it finally had its rightful owner. The room was meticulously arranged, with clothes hand-picked by Mrs. James and jewelry she had collected over the years, dazzlingly displayed across the table. Sarah Miller was momentarily stunned by the scene, then burst into uncontrollable laughter. "I've hit the jackpot this time." Mrs. James' face was full of distress. Upon hearing that she had gone to vocational school to learn baking after graduating from middle school and was now working as an employee in a cake shop, the look she gave me was filled with even more resentment. My mother yanked me behind her, her eyes wide with anger. "What are you staring at? Our adults' mistakes have nothing to do with the child." Back then on the train, "It was you who didn't look carefully and took the wrong girl, and we were careless too, not realizing we brought home the wrong child. My perfectly good daughter was raised by you to be timid and fearful. Do you think I don't know? The things your nannies and housekeepers said were downright nasty. How could you let a young girl hear such things?" Thus erupted a fierce argument between the two sides, shifting from the original oversight to mutual dissatisfaction with each other's parenting over the years. As the quarrel escalated, verbal warfare turned into physical confrontation. My mother waved her blood-red long nails, leaving several scratches on Mrs. James's face, while Mrs. James clung tightly to my mother's curly hair. Both fathers tried but failed to pull them apart. It was Sarah Miller who finally managed to stop them. My mother grabbed my hand and stormed off without looking back. Once we were outside, my mother leaned in mysteriously and whispered in my ear with a grin, "Just now, I scratched her several times and even secretly kicked her a few times. She'll definitely be sore all over when she wakes up tomorrow. Today, Mom really gave her a piece of your mind. No one will bully you anymore. If anyone does, just tell Mom, and I'll make sure they regret it." When I was little and had conflicts at school, the first thing Mrs. James would do was make me apologize. She never asked why, just rushed to settle things quickly, so everyone knew back then that Nancy James had no one to back her up, which meant they could bully her without consequences. The first time someone stood up for me felt strange, like something inside was breaking free, tingly, numb, yet warm all over. I hesitated for a moment when I reached the door, because I had originally thought I could see Jack one more time, but he never showed up. Jack is the biological daughter's older brother and the only person in this family who would look at me properly. Before my true identity was exposed, he could actually be considered a good brother. When everyone turned a blind eye to me, he was the only one who gave me a little warmth. He was the only one who, when I said I came in first place, would excitedly pick me up and spin me around, saying, "My Nancy is amazing. My little sister is a genius," and it was also him who, when I got into a fight and ended up at the police station, rushed over in the middle of the night to bail me out. He arrived furious, but upon seeing the wounds on my face, couldn't help but tear up. "Nancy, look at the white hairs on your brother's head. They've been sprouting like crazy these past 6 months because of you." In the snow, we walked silently, one after the other. After a long while, he turned his head, tears glistening at the corners of his eyes. "Nancy, please be well. I'm begging you as your brother." All right. After that day, I smoothly passed through my brief rebellious youth. It was also that day I realized, the only one in this family who truly cared for me was my brother. After my identity was exposed, he completely changed, ignoring me and no longer caring about my affairs. To be honest, it was a huge blow to me. At 18, my entire past was suddenly overturned when I was told I wasn't my parents' biological child. At that time, I was terrified of being utterly abandoned, so I desperately clung to the only person in the family who had ever been kind to me, but no matter how hard I tried to please him, he remained indifferent and cold. Eventually, I became completely invisible in that household, and he, along with the entire family, subjected me to bullying. So when Mrs. James gave me two options, one was to stay at home, with the James family continuing to support me until I completed my studies, and the other was to return home with my biological parents. I didn't hesitate to choose the latter, because this was never my home, and things couldn't get any worse than they were now. Perhaps because I lingered for too long, my mother asked me curiously, "What's wrong? Did you forget something?" I shook my head, lowered it, and said softly, "It's nothing, let's go. If he doesn't want to see me, why should I go and make myself unwelcome?" The train rattled along for 2 days until we arrived at a small northern town completely blanketed in snow. The arrival of the cold was preceded by a military coat still warm with body heat. I was completely enveloped in the heavy garment, struggling for a while just to free my eyes. The moment I looked up, I met a pair of sparkling black eyes. A young man, tall and robust with slightly dark skin, grinned at me, flashing 2 rows of bright white teeth. "My name is Andy Miller. I'm your brother." "My name is Nancy James. I'm your sister." Andy Miller looked at my dead serious expression and found it absolutely hilarious, laughing so hard he could barely catch his breath. Then my mom smacked me on the head. "Don't scare your sister." That finally made me behave a little. The train station in our small town was tiny too, just a few steps and we were out. The ground at the entrance was covered in snow, churned into a muddy mess by cars and whatnot. Andy Miller tucked me under his arm and carried me forward, so my feet never touched the ground the whole way, and I was dizzily placed into the car. Along the way, my mom held my hand and enthusiastically pointed out the scenery. "This is your great-uncle's house. That's your great-aunt's. The blue one is your uncle's. Seems like the whole village is ours." When we got home, my mom and dad mysteriously rushed ahead, while my brother covered my eyes until we reached the doorstep. Opening my eyes, I saw a small bungalow with dim yellow lights. The exterior was adorned with string lights, resembling those DIY illuminated miniature houses from childhood. Only the floral lantern at the entrance creaked as it spun, slightly disrupting the ambience. After just a few steps, my brother leisurely covered my ears. Soon after, 2 loud bangs echoed from either side, followed by a shower of colorful streamers and glitter cascading down. "Welcome home, welcome home." But would this place truly become my home? My mother grabbed my hand and eagerly led me to my room. As soon as the door opened, my eyes were dazzled by all sorts of floral patterns. The bed had a scattered flower design, the tablecloth was covered in large blooms, and the curtains were adorned with red blossoms. This was the first time I realized that silence could feel so loud. I admit I was stunned for a moment, until my mother slapped my father on the back. "I told you these flowers looked tacky, but you wouldn't listen and insisted on buying them." My dad scratched his head and smiled with simple honesty. "If my girl doesn't like it, next time Dad will take you to pick one out yourself." I sat on the bed, where the quilt carried the warm scent of sunshine, clearly freshly aired. I love the smell of sunshine. So I smiled. I really like it, thank you. I still couldn't easily call them Mom and Dad. There was a hint of disappointment in their eyes, but they quickly hurried to show me around. The James family mentioned you've been playing the piano all these years without stopping. We thought of getting you one for the house too, though it's just secondhand. Hope you don't mind. To show I didn't mind, I simply opened the piano, sat down, and played a simple piano piece. All eyes were on me, and when I stood up, the applause from 3 people startled me with its loudness, as expected of my daughter, inheriting my excellent musical talent. Oh, come on, stop bragging, you've been off-key since childhood. What musical talent? Clearly she takes after me. My music teacher always favored me since I was little. As the two kept arguing, they pulled me forward to judge who was right. My brother seized the moment and wrapped me in his arms. Crazy fans, stay away from our superstar. Official statement. My musical talent obviously comes from her brother. When she was little, I sang lullabies in her ear every day, subtly influencing her. Finally, my brother's shamelessness united my parents against him. Hiding behind me, he kept provoking them while dodging their slaps. The dim yellow light cast a soft glow on everyone's face, while I stood at the center of that radiance. So this is what home feels like. On the day Nancy James left, the veins at Jack's temple throbbed incessantly. He knew his sister would come home today, but he wasn't ready to face it all yet. I heard that the conditions at my sister's adoptive parents' home aren't very good. Will she hate him? After all, it was his negligence back then that brought her years of hardship. After returning home anxiously, he met a lively and cheerful girl who vividly described her life over the years. It was clear that although the family's circumstances were poor, they treated her very well. And Sarah Miller genuinely loved her profession. Jack thought about opening a dessert shop for her later. Whether it made money or not didn't matter, as long as she was happy. After the conversation, it was already completely dark. During dinner, Nancy James still hadn't come downstairs, probably throwing a tantrum because Sarah Miller had returned. He thought about taking something up to her later. The meal was eaten absent-mindedly. It wasn't until everyone had returned to their rooms that he finally took something and went upstairs. He knocked on the door, but it didn't open, and the lights inside were off, which made him anxious. It wasn't until the housekeeper looked at him strangely and told him, "Miss Nancy has already left." He froze in place for a moment, then pushed the door open and entered. The interior of the house remained largely unchanged. After a quick glance at the closet, he noticed she had only taken some personal belongings, probably just gone out for a couple of days in a huff. He smirked dismissively. "Still mad at your big brother, huh? Little girl's got quite the temper." He sat in the room for a long time afterward, thinking about how his younger sister had never traveled far from home and had been pampered all these years. He wondered if she could adapt to rural life. He figured it was just a fit of temper and that she'd probably come crying back to him before long. When that time came, he'd apologize properly to Nancy. Over the past several months, she'd suffered because of his personal issues. Nancy had always been a considerate child. Once, when she was little, he accidentally spilled boiling water all over her, leaving a large red burn, though she cried from the pain. She still comforted him, saying she didn't blame her brother. He supposed she'd forgive him now, too, and he'd do his best to be a good brother again. I thought I wouldn't sleep well on my first night here, but unexpectedly, I had the best sleep I've ever had. When I woke up, the sky was just beginning to lighten. In the northern morning, the pale, slightly bluish sky held a red sun hanging in the distance. My mother was sweeping the floor in the living room and said gently when she saw me, "Why don't you sleep a little longer?" "I slept well last night and woke up early today." "That's great." My mom looked at me with smiling eyes, then pushed open my brother's door the next second and yanked off his blanket. "The sun is already up. Why are you still in bed? Go buy 2 bags of fresh milk for your sister at the village entrance." My brother shivered from the cold, tugging at the blanket to sleep a bit longer, half asleep. He caught sight of me and then jolted awake with a furious roar. "Mom, can you at least save some face for me in front of my little sister?" My mom pulled me out of the room, slammed his door shut, and issued an ultimatum. "If your little sister doesn't get fresh milk in the morning, your allowance for this month is gone." My brother let out a wail, quickly got out of bed, brushed his teeth, roughly tousled his hair, and then shoved his big face right in front of mine. "Am I handsome?" Even though his hair was a mess, his tall stature and good looks gave him a certain unkempt charm. I looked at him very seriously and then nodded, which actually made my brother a bit embarrassed. His ears turned red as he playfully pinched my nose. "You little brat, you've even learned to tease your brother now." I watched my mom cook in the kitchen. The pure white dough danced in her hands, then was rolled out into a large sheet and evenly sliced into thin strips. Northern tradition. Dumplings for departure, noodles for arrival. Anyone coming home from afar must have a bowl of noodles. After rolling out the dough, she heated the oil, added minced meat with a perfect balance of fat and lean, then tossed in diced mushrooms, yellow bean paste, chili bean paste, and green and red peppers. Finally, she stirred in the noodles cooked to 80% doneness, and the dish was ready to serve. The family gathered around the table for a meal. Without strict rules like no talking during meals or sleep, the three of them chatted lively, while I, unable to speak, just watched them with a smile. My mother said, "Cross the Mount Sea Pass, finish this bowl of noodles, and you're truly home." As a child, I never understood why everyone preferred rice while I loved noodles, though our family rarely made them, since the housekeeper also prefers rice, whenever I wanted to eat noodles. She would always say that wheat-based foods are bad for the stomach. Gradually, I ended up suppressing my own preferences. Now I finally understand. I was originally from the north, so naturally, I have a northern stomach. These days, the small town has been covered in snow. The weather is too cold, so I haven't gone out much. Life is simple and peaceful, with the only trouble being that in just one short week, I've gained a full 5 pounds. Usually, no one in the house talked to me except Jack. But because Jack was often away for school and work, I developed the habit of talking to myself. A little noise in the big house made it feel less lonely, so I talked to myself and answered myself. When I thought about gaining 5 pounds, my voice unconsciously got a little louder. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? I actually gained a whole 5 pounds. Suddenly, my brother's voice came from the next bedroom. Never thought, never thought. Already this thin and still trying to lose weight. Only then did I clearly realize how poor the soundproofing of the room was. Shocked, I covered my mouth. So all the things I'd secretly said these days had been heard by my brother. My brother knocked on the wall and then said lazily, "Your body is as thin as a twig. I was thinking of taking you kite flying next spring, with someone like you, if the wind's a bit strong. I'm afraid it won't be you flying the kite, but the kite flying you." Sometimes I dream in the middle of the night about being punished, locked in that dark room again, and I can't help but feel a bit emo. I hate the darkness, my brother said. If you hate the darkness, that's easy to fix. Tomorrow, I'll buy you a high-powered flashlight. Even the roosters will crow when they see you. From now on, you are the light, you are the electricity, you are the only myth. Northeasterners never let any sentence fall to the ground. My habit of talking to myself was completely cured by my brother. A few more days passed, the sky finally cleared, and as the year drew to a close, the town's New Year market opened. That day, everyone got up early on purpose, and my whole family happily went to the market together. It was my first time visiting a northern market, and everything looked fascinating to me. The moment I lingered at any stall for even a second longer, my mom would immediately pay for whatever was there. Before long, my brother was completely loaded with packages. "No need for so much, I can't eat anymore." My dad watched me eating with a silly grin. "Just have a taste, no need to finish it all. Mom just wants you to try a little bit of everything." Then, without any hesitation, he stuffed the bun I had taken 2 bites of into his mouth in a few quick motions. Since I didn't bring many clothes with me when I came here, we went to browse some clothing stores. My mom, dad, and brother each picked out an outfit for me, and they argued fiercely over whose taste was better. Finally, everyone's eyes turned to me in unison. "Who said you have good taste?" The shop owner smiled and said, "Your daughter is as pretty as a movie star on TV. She looks good in anything." This flattered my parents and brother so much that they happily agreed to buy everything. New Year's Eve arrived in the blink of an eye, and my mom and dad were busy from early morning. Firecrackers were set off, marking another prosperous and vibrant year. The New Year's Eve dinner table was filled with all my favorite dishes, even though I had never explicitly mentioned my preferences. But those who love you can always notice what you like to eat from everyday observations. Although I've felt so much love over these past few weeks, I'm still deeply moved every time I realize I'm being loved. Fireworks bloomed one after another in the distance. I raised my glass and toasted everyone. Thank you all, Dad, Mom. It had been too long since I last called them Mom and Dad. At first, the words felt a bit unfamiliar as they left my lips. After calling out once more, everything felt so natural. They were indeed my parents, Dad, Mom. My father's eyes instantly reddened, and my mother pulled me into her arms. Oh, my dear daughter, you've suffered all these years. I wasn't actually that upset to begin with, but curled up in my parents' arms, I couldn't stop the tears from falling. Maybe it's like when a child falls. If no one comforts them, they'll get over it quickly, but when someone does, the floodgates of emotion just open. My brother looked at me, his eyes also reddening, and said with deep sincerity, I'm sorry, it's my fault for not watching over you properly back then, letting you suffer all these years. I learned everything that happened back then from my brother. I was only a little over a year old, not yet walking, wrapped in a swaddle. He was holding me when he got distracted by a toy. When he came back, he didn't realize I had been given to the wrong person. By the time he found out, that family had already gotten off the train. Surveillance wasn't as advanced back then, and the James family had bought scalp tickets, so there was no way to find the person again. No matter how far they searched, although he would come to this station from time to time afterward, he never received any useful information. It was only in recent years, with the development of the internet, that he saw the James family's search for relatives. No wonder I always felt my brother looked at me with guilt in his eyes and treated me with extra caution. This matter had been weighing on him all along. My brother cried with an especially fragile air. So I clumsily said in northeastern dialect, "What's a grown man crying for? Look at your sorry self." It made my brother laugh so hard a snot bubble popped out. I handed him a tissue and said very seriously, "I don't blame you, so don't blame yourself either." Then my brother's eyes turned red again, burying his head in my father's arms, crying like a child. After that day's heart-to-heart talk, my brother became much more natural with me, no longer just trying to please. Occasionally even bickering with me. It felt like we were truly a family now. Throughout the year, my brother would drag me around with a bowl, like a little bandit, barging in and kowtowing loudly, "Wishing you prosperity, now give us the red envelopes." Then he'd pull me forward again, call them uncle and aunt. I called for someone, and he immediately knelt down and kowtowed again. My sister is timid, so I'll kowtow for her. So my brother and I worked in perfect sync. He kowtowed while I called for people, and within a few days, we had collected a thick stack of red envelopes. My father was the director of the town's welfare home, and my brother was the king of the kids there. He introduced me to his team with a serious expression, even pretending to chew on a piece of dry grass. "From now on, this girl is under my protection." Got it? The group of kids all clapped enthusiastically, their cringe-worthy antics making me want to curl my toes in embarrassment. While climbing the tree, a boy named Bob tugged at me, causing me to fall. Luckily, it wasn't a high drop, and I only suffered some minor scrapes. My brother rushed over to check my wound, then grabbed Bob and said sternly, "Why did you do this?" Probably having never seen my brother like this before, Bob was immediately scared to tears. I tried to mediate on the side, even jumping around a bit. "I'm fine, it's okay." Then said to Bob, "Sorry, I didn't stand steady." Apologizing is my instinctive reaction. I'm afraid of conflicts with others, afraid that if I cause trouble, they'll dislike me even more when I get home. My brother looked at me, let out a long sigh, then with reddened eyes, ruffled my hair. "You didn't do anything wrong. Why are you saying sorry?" Then turning to Bob, he said, "Bob, apologize." Bob tearfully apologized. "I'm sorry. I just wanted to scare you a little. I didn't expect you to fall." I then said, "It's fine." My brother pinched my nose. "What do you mean it doesn't matter?" "It matters a lot, Bob. You better reflect on yourself." Then he bent down, signaling for me to climb onto his back. "I'll carry you to the clinic to get some medicine." I hesitated for a moment before climbing onto my brother's back, swaying unsteadily as we made our way to the clinic. My brother said to me, "The kids in the institution grew up in the welfare home, so they're too dependent on me and a bit xenophobic. That's why they were hostile toward you." "I'm sorry." I was about to shake my head and say it's okay, but then I remembered my brother's words and stayed silent. After that day, my brother said I was too good-natured, that being a pushover makes you an easy target, so he took pleasure in teasing me until I got mad. One day, I was so angry that I picked up a broom to hit him, and he dodged while laughing. "That's right, just like that." If anyone bullies you, fight back. Today, he was teasing me again, throwing snow down the back of my neck, making me shiver from the cold. Annoyed, I grabbed a handful of snow and charged at him. The two of us tussled in the snow, and eventually, neither of us could keep our balance, falling to the ground. My brother got up first, but just as he was about to pull me up, someone punched him and knocked him down. I got up in a panic, thinking it was an enemy my brother had made at some point. But I never expected to see Jack. After not seeing him for over a month, he had lost a lot of weight and shouted sternly, "What are you doing to my sister?" My brother raised an eyebrow. "How did my sister become your sister? You're just that cheap older brother in front of my sister, aren't you?" He took a step forward and said, not talking, giving me the silent treatment. "Perfect. I've been wanting to hit you for a long time." Then he swung a punch, and the two of them started fighting. Jack had learned boxing, and I was afraid my brother would get the worst of it. I was so anxious that I simply stepped in front of my brother to shield him. Jack held back because of me, his moves restrained. My brother seized the moment and kicked him to the ground. Then Sarah Miller arrived with others, and the two were finally pulled apart. Jack stared straight at me and called out, "Nancy, I'm here to take you home." I didn't look at him, walking straight past. Just hurried forward to check my brother's injuries. "Bro, are you okay?" My brother spat out a mouthful of bloody foam, grinning. "Bro's fine, with his skinny frame. 3 of him wouldn't be enough for me to fight." I gave him a light but firm pinch, and he winced in pain, baring 2 rows of white teeth. "Don't fight anymore. If you get hurt, I'll feel bad." My brother provocatively grinned at Jack and replied with extra cheer, "Got it. I'll listen to my little sister." Jack just looked at me quietly, his gaze tinged with hurt. I ignored him, simply supporting my brother as we walked home, feeling his stare burning into my back. When we got home, my parents' expressions darkened at the sight of Jack. "What are you doing here?" Sarah Miller forced a smile and stepped forward to take my mother's hand. "I just missed you, that's all. Came to see you, and my brother also wanted to see the place where I grew up." Both of them were carrying things in their hands, and as Northeasterners, they couldn't bring themselves to turn guests away, so, holding their noses, they still invited them in. The place is small at home, so with 2 more people, only Sarah Miller and I can live together, while Jack stays with my brother. My brother was so anxious he was about to jump out of his skin, under my mom's intimidating glare. He reluctantly led Jack into the room with a pitiful look. I took Sarah Miller back to the room, and my feelings toward this real heiress were quite complicated. After all, I spent the first 20 years of my life living under her shadow, but when it comes to hating her, I just can't bring myself to do it. Sarah Miller greeted me warmly, her eyes sparkling as she looked at me. "My name is Sarah Miller. According to my birth date, I'm probably a few months older than you, so you can call me sis." Then I heard my brother say loudly over there, "Don't listen to her, Nancy. She's been pestering my mom to give her a little sister since she was a kid. Now that she's met you, she just can't help but play the big sister role." Sarah Miller went straight into berserk mode and snapped back loudly, "Andy Miller, you're gonna die." Then, as if suddenly remembering me, she coughed twice, turned her head, and grinned at me like the big bad wolf. "It's okay if you don't want to call me that. My cakes are absolutely delicious. You won't be able to resist them." At breakfast, both Jack and my brother had dark circles under their eyes. Only Sarah Miller looked exceptionally radiant. She held me all night without letting go and seemed to have slept extraordinarily well. My brother's eyes widened the moment he saw Sarah Miller. "Are you sucking the life out of my sister or something? I've seen those videos about real and fake heiresses. Don't you dare pull any of that nonsense." Sarah Miller said with a forced smile, "Then you'd better watch out. If I turn into a monster, you'll be the first one I come after." The two of them kept bickering back and forth, while Jack remained silent, eating his meal. His gaze held a hint of ingratiation as he glanced at me, picking up some of my favorite dishes from the table and placing them in my bowl. "Nancy, I remember you like this." As soon as the food landed in my bowl, my brother picked it up and put it in his mouth. "Be good." "Nancy, this is dirty. I'll get you a new one." Jack's face darkened as he glared at my brother. "You, how about me?" Seeing that they were about to fight again, I squeezed my brother's hand, turned to him, and smiled. "Bro, I'm fine." I simply acted as if Jack didn't exist. No matter what he did or said, I neither listened nor responded. Many times he seemed to want to say something to me, but I just responded indifferently, just as he had treated me for most of the past year. My brother was right. When bullied, you should fight back. Before, I was afraid of being abandoned, so I had to be sensible and could tolerate endlessly. This time, I don't want to say, it's okay, anymore. After dinner, Sarah Miller eagerly pulled me to the bakery where she worked. Please, try my bread. You'll definitely fall in love with me. I had no choice but to give in to her persistence and followed her to her bakery, where the aroma of freshly baked bread lingered in the air. Eat as much as you want, it's on me. That day in her bakery, I was completely mesmerized by the food. Sarah Miller was right. Her bread was truly delicious. During those days, Sarah Miller snatched me from my brother's hands, took me to her secret little hideout, bought me pretty hair accessories, and begged me to wear them. I've always wanted a little sister since I was a child. Won't you fulfill this wish of mine? Sarah Miller was the daughter my father and mother raised. They raised her well, optimistic, cheerful, neither haughty nor humble. Even after rolling through the lap of luxury, she could still shout about her bread on the street without a second thought. As for my return, she never felt that her love was being taken away. Instead, she joined others in loving me, because those who already have an abundance of love are never stingy about giving it to others. Suddenly, I thought having another sister wouldn't be so bad, so I called out, "Sister." Sarah Miller looked at me in pleasant surprise, quickly responded with a yes, and immediately hugged me, spinning me around in her arms. Ah, my little sister. And so, among those who love me, there was now one more sister. While I was playing outside, Jack silently followed behind me. My brother found him extremely annoying and would loudly mock him with me. "When is that little tagalong going to leave?" Jack heard it but stubbornly continued to follow us. "Nancy, I know you're mad at me. Go ahead and take it out on me. Once you've let it all out, come home with me. Home will always be your home." My brother's words made Jack laugh. What kind of home? That tiny attic room. Even the housekeeper lives better than my sister. Still, no one in the whole family could understand my sister. When she first arrived, she kept talking to herself, which scared me so much I thought she was possessed. Or perhaps it's the kind of love that you give freely and then take back just as easily. It seems my brother heard every word of my self-talk. That day, Jack remained silent for a very, very long time before finally saying, "I'm sorry." Then he turned and left, disappearing to who knows where for a long time, only returning when the sky had turned completely dark. Having grown up in the South, I wasn't used to the cold and developed a fever that very night. In his feverish delirium, he wouldn't let anyone touch him and just kept calling my name over and over. My brother was so angry he scolded him for being shameless and even wanted to throw him out. I just smiled and stepped forward to take the towel from his hand. "Let me do it." I wiped his face for him and then fed him a bowl of porridge. Perhaps sensing my presence, Jack calmed down considerably. He gripped my hand uneasily, and though I tried, I couldn't pull away, so I let him hold it, setting up a stool by the bed to keep an eye on him through the night. I remembered a time when I was little and had a high fever late at night. The nanny, unwilling to take me to the hospital because of the cold, just gave me a fever reducer and went to sleep. I was delirious with fever until Jack came to check on me in the middle of the night. Back then, Jack was still young, and there were no adults at home. No matter how much he called, the nanny wouldn't wake up, so he carried me to the main road and flagged down a taxi. The doctor said if I'd arrived any later, I might have suffered brain damage from the fever. That's why this time, I'll watch over him until he's fully recovered. On the third day, Jack woke up. I didn't look at him and silently prepared to leave, but he called out to me, his tone pleading, "Nancy, are you really going to treat your brother like this? I was really wrong. Can you forgive me, please?" I knew this conversation was unavoidable, so I turned back and quietly looked at him. "I'm just treating you the way you treated me, and you can't take it." He froze for a moment, countless thoughts flashing through his mind in that instant. When Jack was young, the James family was a happy one, but at some point, his parents started arguing constantly. Later, they remained together in name only, each finding lovers outside the marriage, turning their home into anything but. Only Nancy James still gave him a sense of home, until one day, someone told him that Nancy James wasn't his sister, and it was because he failed to take care of his real sister that his parents ended up arguing, leading to a chain of consequences. For a long time, he hated himself intensely and, quite naturally, transferred that hatred onto Nancy. As if that would make him feel slightly better, Jack grabbed my hand, anxiously trying to explain. I just had a momentary lapse in judgment back then, and now I realize I was wrong. During that time, I was filled with confusion, unable to understand why Jack, who had always been kind to me, harbored such hatred toward me. Later, after hearing my brother's words, I began to form vague suspicions in my heart, but even so, what wrong had I done? At the time, I was just a baby who couldn't even speak. I silently gazed at him, gently rolling up my sleeve to reveal a scar on my wrist. Do you know? During that time, sometimes I would look out the window and wonder if jumping down would be better, but then I thought about how the blood would spill all over the ground, making it hard for the gardener to clean up, so I gave up. Later, I also tried cutting my wrist, but the bleeding stopped after a short while, so I thought maybe heaven wanted me to live, and since a living dog is better than a dead lion, I decided to just keep living. But this scar on my wrist never faded, for me. I've already died once. It was my dad, my mom, and my brother who brought me back to life. Jack struggled to sit up and grabbed my wrist, staring intently at the scar on my hand. A teardrop fell onto my hand with a soft pat. I withdrew my hand and took one last look at him. Brother, thank you for taking care of me all these years, but this is the last time I'll call you that. Once you recover, please leave. This is my real home. I turned and walked away without looking back. My father, mother, brother, and sister were building a snowman in the yard, waving at me when they saw me. Later, there were 5 snowmen in the yard. The child who had no one to stand up for them now had a father, a mother, and even older siblings. Epilogue. The day Jack left was a heavy snow day. Nancy saw him off at the station, turned away, and never looked back, watching the retreating figures of their family of 4. He finally confirmed that his little sister was being well loved, and he also knew, at last, that there would never again be a tiny figure following behind him, softly calling him brother. He had lost his sister. The Miller parents were surprised to see him return alone and asked, "That Nancy girl actually didn't come back? She's willing to give up this life here." This triggered the biggest argument Jack had ever had with his parents. He poured out all the misunderstandings and anger he had accumulated over the years, and in the end, he couldn't help but ask desperately, "Do you really love me?" Sarah Miller also had increasing conflicts with James' parents, until they even tried to dictate her marriage. That was when Sarah Miller left the family. Jack looked at his parents, who were still defiantly saying she'd better not come back if she had the guts, and faintly knew Sarah Miller wouldn't return. The cakes she made were delicious. Within just a few years, she had opened many chain stores, although the first one was funded by him. Jack knew that with Sarah Miller's abilities, she could definitely live a good life on her own. After both Sarah Miller and Jack moved out, the family villa felt empty. Sometimes, even Mother Miller would occasionally recall that petite little girl standing on a stool, struggling to make breakfast, eagerly bringing it over, and looking at her with hopeful eyes. She couldn't remember exactly what she had said back then, but she knew it couldn't have been anything kind. Many years later, that boomerang finally came back to hit her. Jack had quietly visited the North once and learned that Andy Miller had chosen to return to their small town after graduation, continuing to run the orphanage. Nancy, on the other hand, became a teacher at the town's Hope Elementary School. With few teachers at the school, she sometimes had to teach multiple classes a day until her voice grew hoarse, yet she always wore a smile on her face. Over the years, as industries shifted away from the town, many children were left behind as left-behind kids. Whenever Nancy James, now Nancy Miller, saw them, it was like looking at her younger self. Though she had parents, it made little difference from having none at all. She treated these children as she would have wanted to be treated in her own childhood. Nancy Miller is no longer the stingy person who lacked love, so she can now generously share her love with others. Now she can finally say loudly that Nancy Miller was never a thief who stole someone else's life. Nancy Miller is the most beloved child of her parents and the most cherished little sister of her older siblings. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. In my senior year of high school, my parents cut off all my living expenses, forcing me to drop out of school. With no other options left, I stepped into an elite school filled with the children of the wealthy. The only reason I could attend was my outstanding academic performance, which earned me a tuition waiver, but I still needed living expenses to survive. After starving for half a month, wearing the shabbiest clothes, I finally mustered up the courage. looking at this group of spoiled heirs who never studied. Does anyone need homework done? Just $5 per assignment. The young masters and misses, who had been showing off their wealth to each other, stopped their playful banter and all turned to stare at me in shock. After a moment, a chorus of shouts erupted. $5. Who do you think you're looking down on? 500, right, mine first. I'll pay 5,000. Put me first in line. $50,000. Light the sky lantern. Let me see who dares to compete with me for the first place today. On the day I was kicked out of the house, I had just entered my senior year of high school. My father, with a ferocious expression, pointed at the tip of my nose and yelled, "Girls from other families at this age can already fetch a bride price, but you're still spending my money all day long. Nothing but a worthless burden." My mother also chimed in earnestly, "If you don't get married, where will your younger brother get the money to marry and carry on the family line?" Clutching stacks of my certificates, I argued with them hysterically to no avail before fleeing the house, my father's voice still chased after me, shouting, "I'd like to see how you managed to get through to university without your family supporting you." I took my grades and went to several high schools. The answer I received was always the same: "Your grades are okay, but who knows if you'll regress in your senior year. We can only offer you a tuition waiver. This is not enough." Clutching my last hope, I stood before Sacred Benevolence Noble High School. Here gathered the children of wealthy families, a congregation of second-generation rich kids. Every day is either about fighting or flaunting wealth. No one studies in their world. The college entrance exam is just a formality. They're all going to study abroad anyway. When I stood timidly in the office, wearing clothes frayed from too many washes, the school's grade-level director gave me a disdainful glance. "Are you sure you want to come here? Aren't you afraid of becoming a target of bullying?" I shook my head vigorously. "As long as you can waive my tuition and give me a little scholarship, just a little bit, 300 a month, no, 100 would be enough. I'll definitely study hard and strive to bring honor to the school in the college entrance exams." The grade director nodded in agreement, holding the advanced scholarship of $10,000. I repeatedly thanked them as I stepped back. The moment the door closed, I heard her curl her lips in disdain. "Return the $100 scholarship. Who are you looking down on?" I successfully stood in the classroom. The young masters and ladies paused their noisy chatter, simultaneously scrutinizing me with curious gazes. "What is she wearing? Why are there holes in it? Did LV's latest collection release an Iraq war-torn style? Why don't you say it's from Chanel? The fabric is so good, it hasn't fallen apart even after being worn like this. It probably isn't a brand-name piece. Only street market clothes have such great quality." "Oh, you know so much about it. Have you worn them before? How dare you insult me by saying I wear street market clothes? You're asking for a beating. Tomorrow, I'll have my dad pull out of your family's business." Two rich second-generation heirs were wrestling with each other. I calmly walked past them to my seat, a spot arranged in the corner of the classroom, closest to the trash can, shutting out all the gossip around me. I've heard worse words from my parents' mouths, let alone the taunts of these spoiled rich kids. Now I have a school to attend and the qualification to continue preparing for the college entrance exam. No one in the class bullied me. During break time, a pretty girl even came to my seat and looked at me with fresh curiosity. Then she asked curiously, "Classmate Song Yao, why are you dressed so shabbily? Are this year's new haute couture designs not appealing? Is there a possibility that I simply can't afford the new haute couture collection? Why can't you afford it? Did you run out of allowance? You could still withdraw from the trust fund." I let out a slight sigh. "What is a trust?" Sun Yu rested her chin on her hand and looked at me. "How did you get here?" "I woke up early in the morning and walked." "Why didn't you let the driver take you?" "There's no car or driver." "Then why not ride a motorcycle?" "I don't have a motorcycle either." "Oh, I get it. You only like riding in helicopters. And this morning the helicopter broke down. So you couldn't drive it, right?" I covered my head with a book. "Whatever, it's too hard to explain." 2 weeks into school, I was practically invisible, spending every day tucked away in the corner of the classroom, diligently solving problems and absorbing knowledge. Gradually, the teacher began to appreciate me more and more, because I was the only one in class who was actually studying. Not only did I listen attentively, but I also occasionally raised my hand to answer the teacher's questions, ensuring the class never fell into awkward silence. But my attention is becoming increasingly scattered. I'm very hungry, so hungry I could eat the table. although my tuition is fully waived, I still need to find a place to live. The grade director sternly refused my request to live on campus, saying my family background was too poor and that the young masters and ladies of the school wouldn't approve of my presence. I had no choice but to rent a place outside. The rent was so expensive. After much pleading, the landlord reluctantly agreed to accept just 6 months' rent up front. $10,000 instantly dwindled to just $500. In the land-scarce, gold-priced city of Shanghai, all I could afford was a remote attic. The $500 went straight to utilities, leaving me penniless, with my current grades falling short of Tsinghua or Peking University standards. I dared not ask the dean for another scholarship advance, in such harsh family conditions. My study time was squeezed to almost nothing, despite desperately trying to catch up. My final exam scores in the second year of high school were only good enough for a 985 university. I didn't have a dramatic turnaround like the heroine in a feel-good story, falling in love while casually solving a few problems and scoring full marks to get into Tsinghua or Peking University. My stomach has been empty for over 8 hours. What I ate this morning was a piece of pan-fried steak I dug out from the school trash and half an unfinished tuna sandwich. It's delicious, but the portion is extremely small. I pursed my lips and looked up at my classmates who were about to finish school. They were discussing again where to play golf or go out to sea for a party. I pinched myself hard, mustered all my courage, and timidly asked, Does anyone need help with their homework? Just $5 per assignment. I've never seen these rich kids do their homework. Every time the teacher assigns work, I'm the only one who diligently takes notes, then returns to my stuffy rented room to complete it carefully under a salvaged desk lamp. After I asked this question, the young masters and misses who were showing off their wealth to each other stopped their playful banter, all looking at me in shock. Sun Yu's voice came through, filled with disbelief. Class monitor, you still do homework? Ever since I received high praise from all the subject teachers, I was promoted to the position of class monitor. The task of cleaning the classroom naturally fell on me. My voice was as soft as a mosquito's hum. Yes, I write quickly and well, with high accuracy. If you're looking for someone to do your homework for you, you can consider me first. I don't charge much, just $5 per test paper, and buy 5 get 1 free. Considering that the children of wealthy families are all involved in business, and having heard many such stories, I quickly added, the price can be negotiated if it's not suitable. Shock shattered across everyone's faces. After a moment, they immediately reacted, and a chorus of shouts erupted. $5. Who do you think you're looking down on? 500. Write it for me first. Let my dad open his eyes and see that his son is also someone who loves learning. 500. How can you even say that? I'll pay 5,000, and take the first spot. $50,000. What I don't lack is money. Light the sky lantern. Let me see who dares to compete with me for the first spot today. The classroom was in complete chaos. Their offers were getting increasingly outrageous. It was as if I wasn't writing homework, but an authentic Qianlong masterpiece. I quickly waved my hands to stop them. Just $5. I can't ask for more, if you want me to write. I'll do it one by one in the order you agree. Anyway, they're all science test papers, so they're quick to finish. Business should be like a steady stream, flowing continuously. I'm afraid if I take too much, it wouldn't be good if the parents find out. After all, I used to earn money by doing homework for others in my first year of high school, because I took on a rush order for $6. My classmates' parents found out when they checked the accounts. The next day, they stood in front of my house and scolded me for a long time. The noise continued, and Sun Yu was the first to grab it. She triumphantly transferred $20 to me. The second-hand phone lagged for half a day before finally receiving the message. Staring at the balance of 20, I excitedly assured her, Don't worry, Miss Sun, I promise to finish your homework beautifully tonight. That day, I earned $100. I took 5 orders. I stayed up doing homework until 1 a.m. To ensure quality, I never take on too much. The next day after school, as I was about to head home with the Chanel backpack I'd picked from the trash, I noticed a fresh transfer of $100 in my account. The wealthiest and most hot-tempered heiress in class stopped me in my tracks. She touched the diamond-studded manicure on her hand and motioned with her lips toward 2 lackeys. Drag her into the bathroom. Even the bathrooms at Shengren High School were far more spacious than the attic I lived in on the outskirts. But cold sweat was pouring down my forehead. Everyone has left school, and few people come to the restroom. Is she trying to bully me? But I don't know how I offended her. Since transferring to this school, I've been the most unnoticed presence, striving every day to minimize my presence and avoid drawing their attention, even when they flaunt their wealth right in front of me. I quickly blurt out, "How beautiful, it must be very expensive," while staring at the dazzling logos. Only then do they say with satisfaction, "It's not expensive, only a country bumpkin like you would think so. This bag costs less than $1 million. The money I earn from writing a test paper can't even buy a single thread from her bag." Ji Wenxiao smirked sinisterly, reaching out to lift my chin. "You're the class monitor." She drew out her words slowly. My heart pounded like a drum. My mind raced through the memories of the past half-month since transferring schools. I never clashed with Ji Wenxiao. Every time she flaunted her wealth, I made sure to show an envious expression and compliment her a few times. Last night, I took $5 from her and submitted the homework on time without any delay. The boyfriend she's engaged to is also in our class. The only words I've ever spoken to him were, "Hello, classmate Cheng. Classmate Ji asked me to call you. She's waiting for you downstairs, ready to go out on the yacht together." I really can't figure out where I might have offended her. Her two girlfriends beside her were gripping my arms tightly, making it impossible for me to move. I think, if all else fails, I'll just drink a few more mouthfuls of toilet water and beg for mercy a few times to appease the young lady, as long as I can stay here and continue my studies. Ji Wenxiao unhurriedly took out her phone. Her manicured nails tapping on the screen, producing an eerie, rhythmic clicking sound. Her crisp voice rang out above my head. "Later, remember what to say and what not to say." As I trembled with fear, she made a phone call. A stern middle-aged man's voice came from the other end. "What's wrong, Jojo?" "Daddy, I really did write yesterday's homework myself. My fingers still hurt. If you don't believe me, our class monitor can tell you. I'm aiming for Tsinghua or Peking University with raw scores." You know, with that, she handed her phone to me. At the same time, she shot me a fierce glare. I swallowed hard. "Hello, uncle, I'm Song Yao, the class monitor." That, Ji's homework was really done by herself. Is that so? When did she do it? My mind was racing. Yesterday, Ji Wenxiao went out to sea to play, and there were certainly no witnesses on the ocean. Uncle, after school yesterday, classmate Ji said he wanted to study hard, so he stayed at school to do his homework. Only then did Ji Wenxiao nod with satisfaction. "Did you hear that, Daddy? I really did the homework myself. Haha, that's my daughter for you, finally putting your mind to studying. From now on, I'll reward you with an extra $1 million in pocket money every month." Ji Wenxiao hung up the phone with a triumphant smile. "You're smart to recognize it. I'm the only daughter of the Ji group. My father has no other children, no illegitimate sons. The Ji family is mine for the taking, from now on. You'll do my homework every day. Don't worry, I won't treat you unfairly. If you dare offend me, you'll regret it." I nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. The two pairs of hands restraining me loosened, and Ji Wenxiao sauntered away in her stiletto heels. Only when she was completely out of sight did I dare pick up my school bag from the ground and hurry home. Still shaken, some time was wasted, and by the time I made it home, the sky was already beginning to darken. Thinking about the homework I had to finish tonight, I quickened my pace. Just as I stepped into the shabby apartment complex, two figures at the entrance seemed to have been waiting for a while. My father's chilling voice rang out, "I've been sneaking out for a month, and I finally found where you were hiding." My legs felt like they were filled with lead, so heavy I could barely take a step. Memories of the days when he used to beat me flashed before my eyes. One after another, he stepped forward, yanked my backpack off, and slapped me hard across the face. I was thrown more than 2 meters away. My father angrily scolded, "You sure have the guts to sneak off 100 kilometers away to study alone. I've raised you this big, fed you, spent money on you, and not only have you not brought a single penny home, but you dare to run away. I've already accepted the bride price, 388,000, just waiting for you to go back and get engaged. Today, whether you want to or not, you're coming back home with us." In the sweltering early autumn, I could even feel the spray of my father's spit hitting my face. That's when I suddenly noticed a van parked near the residential area, dilapidated, with the windows completely obscured. My father waved impatiently. "Hurry up, drag her into the car. We still have a long way to go." Several people rushed down from the van. I took a closer look. Several relatives from my family, Although our family wasn't so poor that we couldn't make ends meet, my father was extremely dissatisfied with my schooling, especially after my younger brother failed to get into high school in last year's entrance exams. My father went all out to send him to a private school, which only strengthened his determination to make me drop out. I don't have any friends here. The only people I know are my classmates. As I saw the person getting closer, I quickly pulled out my phone. It was the latest model Ji Wenxiao threw at me this afternoon. Her leftover. It was said to be a reward for my pragmatism. The phone runs smoothly without any lag. I quickly opened the class group chat, where everyone was chatting enthusiastically. Yachts are boring. It's always the same old stuff, utterly dull. Look at my complete collection of figurines. It cost me over 3 million. Image, JPG. I heard Miss G's allowance got increased. How about we book the entire golf course tomorrow? Let's go horseback riding instead. My little steed must miss me after not seeing me for days. Amidst the playful banter, I inappropriately sent a voice message, my voice trembling with sobs and screams. I'm Song Yao. My dad is forcing me to drop out of school and go home to get engaged. My phone has a tracker. Please. I beg you, come save me. The dilapidated van sped down the highway. My heart pounded like a drum as I anxiously stared at the guardrails rapidly receding outside the window. I couldn't help but feel a sense of despair. After only knowing these new classmates for a month, how could these spoiled rich kids possibly care about my problems? Yet I truly couldn't think of anyone else to turn to for help. I was less than a year away from taking the college entrance exams. Dropping out now would mean all my efforts were in vain. The van carried me from the city's bustle. Gradually heading toward the desolation of the outskirts, I stared fixedly at the door, calculating my survival odds if I jumped out to escape. A luxury car roared past the van at full speed, whooshing by in an instant. The removed muffler made the car roar violently when stepping on the gas. My dad was startled and pointed at the luxury car, shouting to my uncle, "Drive carefully, that's a Lamborghini. We can't afford to pay for any scratches." As soon as the words were spoken, several more cars quickly overtook us from behind. All of them were luxury cars speeding at an extremely high velocity. My dad, smoking a cigarette, couldn't help but curse. Why are these people so rich? Why can't I ever strike it rich? After overtaking my dad's van, these cars actually slowed down, blocking the way in front, forced the van into the nearest service area. Behind, more than a dozen luxury cars arrived belatedly. The car doors opened, countless familiar faces appeared before me. My dad knew rich people weren't to be trifled with, and though his courage wavered, he still spoke firmly. "What do you want?" From the passenger seat of the Lamborghini, Tsenyu stepped out with a dark expression, usually sweet-natured. Her face now looked as if she were ready to commit murder right there on the street. She gritted her teeth and said, "What are we doing? If it weren't for you, Song Ya would already be doing my homework for me. My mom just praised me all day. And now you're taking her away." My dad's voice started trembling. "She's my daughter. I can take her whenever I want. Why do I need your permission? Who are you?" Ching Qianni leaned against the Maybach, leisurely lighting a cigarette, and interjected upon seeing the situation. "All I know is, last night I missed the chance to snag the homework writing gig. Tonight, I finally got a spot, and even if the sky were to fall, no one's taking our class monitor away." After speaking, he glanced up at the sky, his expression suddenly turning doting. "My girlfriend's here." I looked up in terror at the pitch-black sky. The rapidly spinning helicopter blades whipped up fierce gusts of wind, making it impossible to keep my eyes open. The aircraft landed steadily on the open ground. Ji Wenxiao strode forward in 8-centimeter high heels, flanked by 3 bodyguards, radiating an overwhelming presence. She gave me a condescending glance and yanked me behind her. Then she cast several vicious looks back and forth at my father. My second uncle was so frightened his legs nearly gave out, clutching desperately at my father's sleeve. "Old Song, you never mentioned you'd offended so many wealthy people out there. If I'd known you'd cause such trouble, I wouldn't have come with you no matter what." My dad was still holding on to his last bit of resolve. I'm just taking my daughter home." "Who the hell do you think you are? What gives you the right to control me?" Snap. A slap landed hard on my father's face. The diamond-studded manicure left several bloody scratches. Ji Wenxiao's voice came through, icy and piercing. "What am I? I'm your grandfather. Damn it, I finally got a poor country bumpkin to show off my wealth to. And you dare take her away? If she's gone, who am I supposed to flaunt my riches to?" the entire class, even the whole school, is filled with rich second-generation kids. Everyone is constantly comparing themselves to each other in secret. When it comes to flaunting wealth, no one backs down, everyone holds their breath, refusing to admit defeat. Only I am the odd one out. No matter who flaunts their riches in front of me, I quickly put on an envious expression and praise the luxury item to the skies. This greatly satisfies their vanity. Just a few days. No matter who in the class bought luxury items, they would immediately come to show off in front of me. Several bodyguards rushed forward and started kicking and punching my dad. Ji Wenxiao pulled me, with teary eyes, onto the helicopter and comforted me softly. I should have known this crappy van would be so slow. I would have had the driver chase them by car instead of taking a helicopter. Applying for the flight route wasted a whole hour, and we still ended up arriving later than them. Don't worry, with us here, you can just focus on doing our homework, we'll take care of everything else. I rubbed my sore eyes and nodded vigorously. That night, I stayed again in the small attic in Shanghai. I neatly wrote the 5 homework assignments I was paid to complete. The next day, I went to school early, during morning self-study. The noise of roughhousing filled the room. I mustered up my courage and bowed to everyone. Thank you all for giving me another chance to study. The noise paused. Many classmates exchanged glances with each other. I returned to my seat, feeling completely at a loss. Classmates began tossing things into the trash bin behind me one after another. All of them were used luxury brand bags. A few classmates were even too lazy to stand up, throwing second-hand clothes in my direction. It covered my face completely. I pulled it off, the enormous luxury logo on the clothing glaring enough to blind me, even second-hand. It was worth thousands. I quickly folded it and placed it into the burlap sack at my feet. Sen Yu arrived late, pushing the door open, holding a few worn-out bags in her hands. Ji Wenxiao gestured with her chin toward the back. Just throw the stuff in the trash. She'll pick it up herself. Which trash can in our school hasn't she rummaged through? My eyes gleamed with excitement as I subtly shifted my position, revealing the overflowing trash can in its full glory, barely making it through until school was out. I quickly shook open the snakeskin bag and carefully placed each item from the trash bin inside. LV and Prada bags, Armani clothing, unopened Gucci perfume. There are many more brands I can't name. After packing everything, the spoils were plentiful. I struggled to hoist the burlap sack onto my back. I turned around. I noticed Ji Wenxiao looking at me disdainfully with her 2 girlfriends. I gave an awkward laugh and was just about to greet them. She impatiently said, "Drag her into the car." I was shocked, clutching the doorframe desperately. "Spare me, young mistress. Can you drag me later? I haven't rummaged through the campus trash bins today." Ji Wenxiao rolled her eyes even more dramatically, ignoring my desperate pleas. She ordered her little sister to shove me, still carrying the burlap sack, into the luxury car. Just 5 minutes later, the car pulled up at Riverside Estates near the school. The properties here started at tens of millions, making it a famous affluent enclave in Shanghai. I clung tightly to the snakeskin bag, not letting go, and cautiously asked, "Miss Ji, what are we doing here?" Ji Wenxiao took out a key and tossed it to me. "Unit 702, from now on, this apartment is your new home. Pack your things tonight and move in as soon as possible. This way you won't have to commute to school every day, and the time saved can be used to do more homework. My 2 girlfriends haven't been able to secure spots for 2 days in a row. Tonight, you'll do their homework too." The previous rented apartment was a full 20 kilometers away from the high school. Even though Shengren High School doesn't make these rich kids attend evening self-study sessions. After finishing sorting through the trash bins after class and biking home, it's already at least 8 o'clock. The error rate in homework can't be too high. By the time I meticulously complete the day's homework calculations, the clock hands are already nearing 11. Only when the lights of countless homes begin to dim do I start transcribing my homework, not to mention getting up early to avoid being late. I have to wake up at 5 o'clock. If I could move closer to school, I could take on at least 10 people's homework every day. But I looked up at this lavishly decorated house. I hesitated and glanced at Ji Wenxiao. "This house is very expensive. I can't let you spend so much." She waved her hand grandly. "It's nothing. This whole building belongs to my family. I successfully moved to a new home. Not only did I receive 10 orders for assignments, I confidently took on all the miscellaneous tasks in the class, during every break. I became the errand runner for the whole class, Class monitor, fetch my package for me. Here's $100 tip. Class monitor, my butler delivered lunch, but I'm sick of these air-flown seafood. You can have it. Song Yao, I left something in the dorm. Go get it for me. $300 for the errand. Monitor, fetch me some water. $100. I nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. I had just carried dozens of packages into the classroom in a woven plastic bag. Then rushed off to get water without a moment's pause. Besides that, they dump all their unwanted luxury items on me, which I then resell on second-hand websites. Preparing for university tuition and living expenses, life goes on as usual. However, every time I leave the school gate, I always feel like there's a pair of eyes watching me from behind. That was undisguised irritation. Every time I looked back, I couldn't see who it was in the bustling crowd. Until the 4th month after I transferred schools, just after the first final exams ended, my grades have improved since I first entered school. I just barely meet the threshold for Tsinghua and Peking University. After school, I happily prepared to go home with my report card. Suddenly, a woman rushed out at the school gate, clung to my leg, and started making a scene while shouting, "You're something else, Song Yao. No wonder you didn't want to come home. You were off chasing rich guys at that elite school. Everyone, come judge this. My daughter's living in a mansion with some sugar daddy and won't even come home anymore." I took a closer look. Inside the shabby overcoat was, "It's my mom." Her voice was sharp and piercing, causing countless classmates to stop and stare. Everyone curiously sized up my mom, whispering among themselves. Seeing this, my mother became even more energetic. Gripping my pant leg tightly and refusing to let go, "My daughter, she's been vain and a big spender since she was little. Our family has worried themselves sick over her. Now, she's complaining that the family doesn't give her enough money, so she's stooped so low as to become someone's mistress. She hasn't been home in 4 months. Please help me persuade her to come home." By the end, my mom was even crying and wiping away her tears. This is her usual tactic, first crying, then making a scene, and finally threatening to hang herself. When I was little, I often saw her arguing with the neighbors. When she had the upper hand, her spit would fly everywhere. When she didn't, she'd throw tantrums and roll on the ground, trying to claim the moral high ground through sheer obstinacy. Right now, her eyes are darting around, a clear sign of guilt. Before I left home, my mother once screamed at me hysterically, "Other girls your age are either engaged and receiving betrothal gifts or working to earn money to support their families. Why do you get to live so comfortably, spending the family's money and still wanting to go to college? Do you think you're cut out for university?" She herself had been trampled into the mud for a lifetime. Looking back, in the entire family, only my status was lower than hers, so she mustered all her strength to trample me even further. Just to give herself a sense of superiority, the farce continued. And more students gathered at the school gate. In the crowd, a fashionably dressed girl suddenly pointed at me and exclaimed, "Isn't she Song Yao from Class 1, Grade 12? Her posts are always pinned on the school forum." After saying that, she took out her phone and found the post. Then she placed it in front of my mom. My mother became even more energized. She was convinced from the bottom of her heart that the rumor about me being kept had spread far and wide. Her voice grew louder and more enthusiastic as she spoke. "She stole so much money from the family and ran away, yet it seems even that wasn't enough to satisfy her vanity. Look, the news has spread throughout the school. Today, I must take her back and teach her a proper lesson." The words that followed never made it past his throat. A large phone screen. The pinned post is a video. As it plays, my figure appears, bent like a bow. It was shortly after I first enrolled. I was wearing a set of tattered clothes, carrying a large snakeskin bag on my shoulder. I was diligently rummaging through the school trash bins for something. A few plastic water bottles were found, which I happily crushed and tossed in. Next, a half-eaten piece of bread along with a lunchbox was unearthed by me. It felt like I had discovered a new continent. He hurriedly took out the brand new lunchbox, ignoring the strange looks from those around him, and squatted directly in front of the trash can, devouring the bread ravenously. After finishing, he didn't forget to toss the lunchbox into the woven plastic bag as well. Then he continued walking toward the next trash can. The video was edited. I dug through a total of 17 trash cans, found over 30 plastic water bottles and 6 unfinished meals. Only after returning fully loaded did I leave the school, humming a tune, ignoring the disdainful looks around me. The thought of being able to continue studying and take the college entrance exam made me automatically shut out those scrutinizing gazes. The video finished playing. A faint ripple of laughter spread through the crowd. Whose mistress is this? Come claim her. She's so poor she's picking up bottles to sell for a living. Her sugar daddy must be delivering takeout to make ends meet. My mother suddenly changed her expression. It turned ashen. In the tightly packed crowd, Ji Wenxiao arrived late. Always followed by several bodyguards, she frowned and glared at my mother, saying viciously, "Another one." My mother was startled and said awkwardly, "I'm here to pick up my daughter." "Who the hell do you think you are?" Snap. Ji Wenxiao slapped her hard across the face. No surprise there. The manicure left scratches. "What am I? I'm your damn grandmother. The miscellaneous fees for next semester are due soon. If you take your daughter away, who will vouch for me when I ask the family for money? Take her away." The bodyguards rushed forward in a swarm. My mother screamed and shouted, but was still restrained and thrown into the distance. I stood there dumbfounded, at a complete loss. Ji Wenxiao glanced down at me with a condescending look. I shrank my neck and instinctively tightened my grip on the plastic bag, seeking a sense of security. She lifted my chin with a sinister smile. "Class monitor. Today the teacher mentioned the miscellaneous fees for next semester. Do you know how much they are?" I quickly nodded. I know, the teacher said it's $20,000, that's a lot of money, more expensive than my life. No wonder it's an elite high school, even a minor miscellaneous fee costs so much. Fortunately, the school waived all my fees, and I made a decent sum from selling second-hand luxury goods. My little nest egg is quite substantial. Ji Wenxiao's face darkened. Many of my classmates gathered around me, they huddled together, whispering and discussing for a long time before finally settling on a number. Then they all started calling their parents, talking over each other. "Dad, the miscellaneous fees really went up. If you don't believe me, ask our class monitor. He's aiming for Tsinghua or Peking University with his raw scores." "Mom, why don't you believe me? I'll have our class monitor send you a voice message." "Sis, an elder sister is like a mother. Please give me more pocket money this time. There are really a lot of miscellaneous fees to pay." Ji Wenxiao swiftly gestured at me, flashing a number with her fingers. Countless phones were thrust in front of me. "The call is in progress." I swallowed hard. "Hello, uncles, aunties, and sisters," the teacher said. "The miscellaneous fees. We need to collect." I looked up again to confirm with Ji Wenxiao, with a determined heart, ready to face death. "It'll cost 2 million. Just a small miscellaneous fee." The whole class contributed a small GDP target. The display of wealth sparked another round of frenzy. Only I, amidst the intense busyness of senior year, faced 3 mock exams. My grades inched forward slowly, like a snail. Lately, fewer and fewer people in the class have been asking me to do things for them. They watched me scribbling away and sighed. Our class monitor is truly something. Scoring 705 raw points in the 3rd mock exam, getting into Tsinghua or Peking University won't be a problem at all. Don't disturb our class monitor. This future Tsinghua or Peking University student. The atmosphere here makes me want to read and study. During this time, my parents never came to bother me again. Perhaps the school, wanting me to strive for honors, became stricter in its management, immediately driving away anyone who looked suspicious, or maybe Miss G. To solve the problem once and for all, directly sent bodyguards to my parents' home and turned it upside down. Now, relatives avoid my parents when they see them, afraid of getting into trouble. This peace lasted until I walked out of the college entrance exam hall. After the last exam, the weight on my heart was completely lifted. I looked up at the sky of freedom, clear and transparent, just like the future I am about to embrace. The scorching summer reached the end of June, and the college entrance exam results were announced. My score was hidden. On the day I returned to school, I stood on the stage. A group of wealthy second-generation classmates, about to study abroad around the world, couldn't help but chatter excitedly below the stage. "The class monitor is really impressive. When they first transferred here, their scores were only good enough for a 985 university. But who knew they'd achieve such outstanding results in the college entrance exam? I told you." The class monitor had no problem aiming for Tsinghua or Peking University. As expected of our class monitor, I heard other classes had top students lured with big money who were supposed to get into Tsinghua or Peking, but they only performed averagely in the end. Sigh, I'm going to the UK next month, and I don't even know when I'll see you all again. I've got it worse. My family is sending me to Germany. The 3 years studying there will be the hardest 7 years of my life in the next 5. The class monitor is lucky, getting to stay in the country. For the first time, envious eyes fell upon me, but I preferred it when they flaunted their wealth, bright and bold. In the crowd, Miss G raised an eyebrow and mouthed to me, "Not bad, you did well enough to qualify for our G group. Remember to report when you graduate from college." Holding the microphone, I wiped away tears that just wouldn't stop. He bowed deeply to the audience below. "Thank you. Thank you to all the students of Class 1, Grade 12. Thank you for helping me get to where I am today." Amidst a round of applause, an untimely voice rang out, "Song Yao is my biological sister. The scholarship she got for Tsinghua and Peking University should be given to me." Outside the crowd, Song Jibao appeared, panting heavily. His flabby body trembled violently. Clearly, he had sneaked in to avoid the security guards. My parents didn't come, the only one who came was Song Jibao. He narrowed his small eyes, first greedily scanning the luxury items on his classmates. After reluctantly pulling his gaze away, he pointed at me on the stage and shouted, "Song Yao, getting into Tsinghua or Peking University comes with a scholarship of at least $500,000. As the only heir in the family, that money should be mine. If you're unwilling to get engaged for the sake of my bride price, then you must give me the scholarship." Ever since my mother came to see me a few months ago, the family has been completely silent since then. I commute daily between school and Riverside Community. I never appear anywhere else. On several previous occasions, I saw my parents causing a scene with Song Jibao at the entrance of Riverside Community, trying to get in, but the security guards at the gate mercilessly stopped them. After making a scene too many times, the security guards would just wave impatiently whenever they saw someone, ordering them to drag the troublemakers away. Standing by the huge floor-to-ceiling window in the room, I could clearly see the shock and greed in Song Jibao's eyes. The houses here are hundreds of times better than those back in my hometown, but no matter how much he threw tantrums, my father would never spend a dime to buy him even a single tile here. Throughout his life, his parents could at most afford the down payment for a house in the county town for him, yet when he heard I lived here, he couldn't bear the disparity any longer. I learned this from my turncoat uncle through WeChat. Song Jibao went on a hunger strike at home in protest, insisted on transferring to Shengren High School. He also wanted to follow my example and thrive among a group of rich second-generation kids. This elite high school, the tuition alone costs at least $500,000 a year. The family simply couldn't scrape together that amount of money. Song Jibao seized the perfect moment to barge into the school, trying to force me to hand over the scholarship money. Everyone seemed to take my family situation for granted. Ji Wenqiao stood up, her 8-centimeter high heels clicking sharply, making her half a head taller than Song Jibao. She gritted her teeth and said, "Why isn't this over yet?" Song Jibao was startled with a shiver. "I came to get money from my own sister. Who the hell are you to meddle?" Snap, a slap landed clean and swift. Bloodstains quickly appeared. "What am I? I'm your ancestor. Our G family is the largest shareholder of Shengren High School. If the scholarship doesn't reach the intended recipient, are you trying to make our stock price plummet?" Song Jibao was dragged out by the bodyguards. Before being thrown out, she was still screaming, "Why won't you give me your money? Mom and Dad said everything in the Song family will be mine sooner or later." I took out the one-page household registration book and smiled gently. "I'm an adult now, Song Jibao. I've already moved my household registration out separately. From now on, I no longer belong to the Song family." As these words concluded, applause unexpectedly erupted from the audience. Leading the applause was Ji Wenqiao. She looked at me with satisfaction. For the first time, she gave me a slight nod, indicating satisfaction. The scorching August is the season of farewells. In the class group chat, almost every day someone is flying abroad. Everyone bids reluctant goodbyes. Even forgetting about showing off their wealth, I, too, packed my bags alone, with my little savings in hand, and set off on the road north. Our group chat was never disbanded. 2 months after school started, Ching Qianhua sent a video to the group, and tagged me, "Class monitor, your brother transferred to our high school." The long silent group chat instantly exploded with activity. The day before I left for college, my dad called me using my uncle's phone. On the phone, his voice sounded much more humble and ingratiating. "Yao Yao, you and Jibao are siblings. Now that your brother has transferred to Shengren High School, shouldn't you, as his older sister, Help him out with some money, I sneered. When I went to school, they didn't charge tuition. So why does he have to spend money? My father's voice was sheepish. Jibao, boys mature later. It's normal for them to fall behind in studies. He'll catch up when he's older. Started school at 6 and still hasn't matured by 17. Should we wait until he's in his coffin for him to catch up? My father, seeing that I had no intention of paying, flew into a rage and scolded me. Don't think you're so great just because you got into Tsinghua or Peking University. Jibao is a boy. He'll definitely do better than you. Once he gets to know a few rich second-generation kids and builds his own connections, he'll surely outshine you in the future. In the end, my parents, in desperation, sold our family home and barely managed to scrape together a few $100,000, sent him to this elite high school. In their vision, once their son enters high society, he would gain the support of the rich second generation. This small investment would quickly pay off. I couldn't wait to open the video. There sat Song Jibao at the very back of the classroom, looking utterly smug. What he wore was a knockoff luxury brand outfit, bought at the cost of selling everything he owned. It fit him terribly. A classmate glanced at him with disdain, then spoke down to him condescendingly. Song Jibao, how dare you wear such obviously fake brand clothes? Aren't you ashamed of embarrassing our whole class? When I first transferred to this school, I didn't even have knockoff brands, just cheap street market clothes. Some people mocked me for dressing shabbily. I could only force an awkward smile and quietly explain that these were already the best clothes I owned. Then he turned his head and complimented the beautiful clothes they were wearing. Having gained admiration, everyone's attitude towards me softened considerably. But Song Jibao didn't see it that way. He believed that everyone in the class looked down on him, so it bristled with spikes, pranced arrogantly, and raged at them. What do you mean fake? This is obviously genuine clothing. You think you're so great just because you're rich. Just wait until I make it big. I'll crush you under my feet sooner or later. The response he got was a group of people dragging him into the bathroom. Then they shoved his head into the sink. Song Jibao struggled desperately, gulping down toilet water while still finding moments to curse between breaths. In this school teeming with the children of the wealthy, the teachers had always turned a blind eye to such matters. Moreover, Song Jibao's admission was bought. He couldn't even pass the exams for an ordinary university. The teachers grew even more impatient with him. Just 1 month into the new semester, Song Jibao was bullied every single day. These young masters seemed to have found a new pastime, with plenty of time and money to torment others. He refused to be bullied and approached the prettiest girl in the class, arrogantly declaring, "Let's get engaged. Just bring me your family's money to start my business. Once I succeed, I'll remember your kindness and won't divorce you." The girl was stunned. The next day, Song Jibao was beaten half to death outside the school, and my parents lost their jobs as well. Even our rented home was taken back by the landlord, begging everyone for help. My parents had to rent a shabby one-bedroom apartment far from the school. 3 people, squeezed in together. Song Jibao's schooling became increasingly difficult to sustain. When the teacher stood expressionless at the podium and announced a $30,000 chemistry materials fee, my parents could no longer afford the exorbitant cost of education. As the only person in school unable to pay, Song Jibao was forced to drop out. As he was leaving, security guards dragged him out of the school, while he desperately shouted, "My sister can study here. Why can't I?" No one paid attention to his cries. I turned off the video on my phone, Uncle said. After dropping out of school, Song Jibao lived with my parents in a rented house. Every day, he lay in the bedroom, either fantasizing about getting rich overnight or pointing at my parents' noses and cursing them for not being born into a wealthy family. The group was already buzzing with lively discussions. My younger brother is in the same class as Song Jibao. I heard that on his first day after transferring, he stood right on the podium and said, "Even though I'm poor, I'm different from all of you. Starting today, whoever gives me money to spend, I'll consider them my friend." Desperate for money, no wonder the whole class bullied him. Every day at school, he looks down on this one and that one, but in the end, he's the one everyone looks down on the most. I heard he even tried to borrow money from his classmates, but unfortunately, no one paid him any attention. The pinned post in the study forum has been changed to Song Jibao, all filled with videos of him getting beaten up. Our class monitor is still the best. Every time I show off my wealth to the monitor, the envious look in their eyes makes me want to buy them the same item. By the way, since everyone has scattered across the globe, How about we make a 4-year pact? In 4 years, we'll return to China and gather in Shanghai. Not only can we exchange resources, but we can also strengthen our bonds. The group unanimously agreed. Sinyu specifically tagged me, class monitor, you must come, at Song Yao. I quickly responded, all right, see you in 4 years, see you there. Extra story, the winter wind carries a biting chill. Dressed in a proper coat, I drove to Shanghai. Now I've shed my youthful naivety, replaced by maturity and competence, half a year after graduation. The group finally settled on a time for the reunion. I drove hundreds of kilometers and managed to arrive outside the hotel just before the agreed time. As soon as I locked the car, an incredulous voice sounded behind me, Yao Yao. This voice sounds familiar. It has accompanied me through over a decade of my life. Frowning, I turned around to see my parents standing not far away, staring at me in shock. They hadn't been able to contact me since I changed my phone number. My household registration has been moved out, and unless I deliberately show up, they probably won't see me again for the rest of their lives. No matter where I go, after 4.5 years apart, my parents have aged significantly. In the chilly city of Shanghai, bundled in clothes that barely kept out the cold, they were busy handing out stacks of flyers to passers-by. My father looked at my outfit with pleasant surprise, then glanced at my luxury car. Her voice was brimming with excitement. Yao Yao, you're doing so well now. That's wonderful. Your mother and I finally have something to look forward to. I gave him a forced smile. Dad, if you want me to give you an allowance, you'll have to wait until you're 60. You're still 10 years away from that age now. My father's face changed color. His lips trembled, but no words came out. My mother put on an ingratiating smile. Yao Yao, no matter what, you are still our own daughter. What kind of daughter would abandon her parents? I put the keys back in my pocket. Of course I care. Didn't I say, come find me after you turn 60. According to the law, I'll give you a few hundred each month. It's not much, but, my tone shifted, surely your beloved Song Jibao can give you much more money, right? Just finished speaking, a figure even more obese than 4 years ago appeared, grabbing my father by the collar and shouting, give me the money you earned from handing out flyers. I need to go to the internet cafe. If you hadn't made me transfer schools back then, I would have definitely gotten into a good university and be graduating soon to join a big company. You ruined my life, so you have to support me forever. Song Jibao roared with full confidence. In that moment of turning around, he caught sight of me. He squinted his small eyes for a long time before finally recognizing me. Greed spread across his face. Sis, have you become rich? I took a step back, putting distance between us. Sis, when you went to study at Xingren High School back then, you must have known a lot of rich second-generation kids, right? Can you introduce me to a girlfriend? I sneered coldly, not wanting to continue the conversation, and turned to enter the hotel. Song Jibao and my parents tried to follow me in but were stopped by the security guards at the hotel entrance. I heard Song Jibao's excited voice. Mom, Dad, my sister is rich now. When she comes out later, we'll ask her for money to buy a house. We won't have to squeeze into a one-bedroom apartment anymore. Who knows, maybe I can even marry a wealthy only child. I scoffed and pushed open the door directly, following the private room number sent in the group chat. The old classmates had already arrived in small groups. It's been years since we last met, and everyone has matured a lot. Upon seeing me, everyone greeted me cheerfully. Hey, the class president is here. I almost didn't recognize our class president. You've become much more confident and beautiful. I heard the class monitor joined the G group right after graduation and is now thriving like a fish in water. As we were exchanging pleasantries, Ji Wenqiao, who had arrived late, pushed the door open with an angry expression. I quickly stepped forward and asked, what's wrong, Miss Ji? Ji Wenqiao gritted her teeth in hatred. My father actually has 3 illegitimate children abroad. Ji Wenqiao had always considered herself an only child all these years. After graduating from high school, she smoothly got engaged to Qing Qianyu, and their relationship has remained stable and sweet ever since. Suddenly having 3 illegitimate children appear is truly hard to accept. She slammed the table in anger. I plan to go abroad tonight. I won't return until I've dealt with these illegitimate children and taken back the assets in their hands. However, I already have someone watching over the company domestically. I just lack an assistant abroad. It has to be someone trustworthy. I blinked, thinking of the 3 relatives still waiting outside the hotel. They're probably still dreaming of striking it rich, plotting to use my money to buy cars, houses, and live the good life. I leaned in close to Ji Wenxiao. Miss, what do you think of me? Ji Wenxiao's face showed surprise, but then she frowned. This trip abroad will last for many years. Are you willing, miss? Have you forgotten my background? Someone like me, born to serve abroad, is the perfect candidate to assist you. Besides, my college tuition was entirely funded by the second-hand luxury goods our classmates threw my way. Now that I have a chance to repay the favor, I must seize this golden opportunity. Ji Wenxiao's heart slowly settled back into place as she turned and hugged me tightly. Class president, I always knew you were the best in our class. After the party, I tossed the keys to the valet, asking him to drive my car to the Ji family's villa in Shanghai. Meanwhile, I accompanied Ji Wenxiao to the garage. As the car slowly pulled out and passed by the hotel entrance, I saw my parents and Song Jibao still staring intently inside. The dazzling display of wealth was enough to make anyone envious. The anticipation on their faces was impossible to suppress, and they even discussed from time to time how they would flaunt their newfound wealth in front of all our relatives as soon as they got their hands on my money. I leisurely averted my gaze, turning to Ji Wenxiao. Miss, give me the information on those 3 illegitimate children, right now. I can't wait to help you reclaim your family fortune. After hearing the 2 stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.